everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be walking you through every lower body machine in the gym. So whether you're a beginner or you just wondered what these machines are for, this video is going to be for you. I've explored some of them for the first time for myself as well. Some of them I've just skipped because I just didn't see the need, or I was just too intimidated in the beginning to even try to use them. And I've been going to this gym for a while, so there's no shame in not knowing how to use the machines. I'm going to be walking you through how to adjust the machine for different range of motion, different heights, so if you're maybe shorter, how to adjust it to be suitable for you, and how to work different muscle groups using the same machine and the same movement. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Okay, so first up we have the seated hamstring curl machine, and to set this machine up properly, the first thing you want to do is to adjust the seat using the lever underneath or at the back of the chair until your knees align with the machine's pivot point. Press on the lever and position the lower pad just above your ankles. This is the pad your feet are going to be resting on. And then to secure yourself in the chair, you're going to want to adjust the top pad so that it sits snugly on your thighs to keep them in place. Next up, you're going to want to select your weight using the pin. I would suggest selecting a comfortable weight, maybe starting lighter until you have the form down, and then you can increase from there. Now that we've set our machine up, we're going to want to prepare for the movement. So sit upright with your back pressed firmly against the pad and grip the handles at the top or to the side for support. Engage your core and keep your upper body still as you curl the pad downward towards your thighs, focusing on squeezing your hamstrings at the bottom. Pause for a moment, then slowly return to the starting position, controlling the weight on the way back up. Avoid jerking the weight or lifting your hips off the seat, keeping the movement smooth and controlled. Next up, we have the lying hamstring curl machine. So for the lying hamstring curl, the first thing you want to do is adjust the pad so that it rests just above your ankles. This is to ensure that there's proper leverage for the movement and that you get enough stretch in your hamstrings and full range of motion. Next up, you're going to want to lay face down on the machine and position yourself so that your knees align with the pivot point. So your knees should be just below the pad where your quads are resting. Finally, select your weight. Again, start light if you're new to this machine. Next up, you're going to want to grab the handles in front of you to stabilize your upper body and make sure your hips stay flat on the bench. As you begin, curl the pad upward by engaging your hamstrings, bringing your heels towards your glutes. At the top of the movement, pause and release, squeeze your hamstrings for maximum activation, and then slowly lower the weight back to the starting position, making sure to keep the motion controlled. Avoid letting your hips lift off the bench again or losing any momentum here. Next up, we have the leg extension machine. So to set this one up, first position the lower pad just above your ankles so that your range of motion starts with your knees bent at about a 90-degree angle. If you want, you can lower the degree at which your legs are bent. However, for full range of motion, a 90-degree angle is recommended. You're going to want to adjust the backrest so your knees align with the pivot point of the machine. Finally, select your weight using the pin in the stack. Start light until you're comfortable with the movement. Now that we've set this machine up, we can go ahead and get ready for the movement. So you're going to want to sit upright with your back pressed firmly against the backrest. Grip the handles at your sides for stability, and then slowly extend your legs until they're straight, but avoiding locking your knees at the top. Squeeze your quads for a second at the top of the movement, then lower the weight back down slowly, keeping control throughout. Next up, we have the abductor and the adductor combo machine. The key to using this machine effectively is properly adjusting the thigh pad, so let's go step by step. To target your abductors, first you're going to want to use the lever to adjust the dial to bring the thigh pads closer together. This is your starting position for pushing outwards. Next, turn the pads inward so that they press against the outer sides of your legs. Now you're going to want to sit on the machine and sit upright with your back firmly pressed against the backrest. Position your feet on the foot support. Finally, set your weight by adjusting the pin on the stack. Go lighter at first to focus on your form. Now that we have the machine comfortably set up, we can start the movement. Push the thigh pads outwards using your outer thighs and glutes. Think about driving the motion from your hips rather than your knees. Pause briefly at the widest point of the movement, fully engage the glutes, then slowly return the thigh pads to the starting position, keeping the movement smooth and controlled. For this exercise, leaning forward can actually help some people engage their glutes more, so if you prefer this stance, you can lean forward slightly and grip the handles, or you can extend your hands in front of you and hold on to the machine itself. We're going to switch to the adductor. To switch to the adductor, you're going to want to use a lever to adjust the dial to move the thigh pads further apart. This is your starting position for pulling your legs inward. Next up, you're going to want to turn the thigh pads outward so they press against the inner sides of your legs. Next, sit upright with your back pressed against the backrest. Place your feet securely on the foot support and then adjust your position so you feel stable and comfortable. Finally, select your weight using the pin on the stack and start with a moderate weight to ensure proper control. Now that we have the machine comfortably set up, we can start the movement. Squeeze your thighs together to bring the thigh pads inward, focusing on your inner thigh muscles to perform the movement. Pause briefly when the pads are closest together to hold a contraction and really feel the engagement in your inner thighs. Next up, we have the horizontal leg press machine. So to set this machine up, we're going to want to adjust the seat so that when you place your feet on the platform, your knees are bent at approximately 90 degrees. This alignment ensures a full range of motion and reduces the strain on your joints. So now we'll talk about foot placement. Different foot placements will target different muscle groups, so let's break them down step by step. Place your feet hip width apart in the middle of the platform. This standard position evenly engages the quadriceps, hamstrings, and glutes. Position your feet higher on the platform to emphasize the glutes and the hamstrings. This setup increases hip flexion, shifting the workload to these muscles. Now that we've successfully set up our machine, let's move on to the exercise. Press through your heels to extend your legs, ensuring you do not lock out your knees at the top of the movement. Maintain a controlled motion as you return to the starting position, keeping constant tension on the muscles. Keep your back flat against the seat and avoid lifting your hips during the exercise. Place your feet lower on the platform to target the quadriceps more intensely. This position increases knee flexion, focusing the effort on the front thigh muscles. Next up, we have the 45-degree angle leg press. So to set up this machine, you're going to want to ensure the backrest is adjusted so that when you're seated, your knees are bent with your feet on the platform. Similar to the horizontal leg press, your foot placement will determine what muscle groups you hit. Place your feet shoulder width apart in the middle of the platform for a balanced muscle engagement. Position your feet higher on the platform to focus more on the glutes and hamstrings, and then place your feet lower on the platform to place greater emphasis on the quadriceps. Next up, we have the hip thrust machine. To set this machine up correctly, first you'll need to add weight plates to the designated loading area. For this hip thrust machine, it's loaded on the right side only. Sit on the machine with your upper back resting against the back pad and your feet flat on the foot platform, hip width apart. Once you're in position, push up on the hip pad slightly, push the stopper lever forward to disengage it. This action allows the weight to move freely during the exercise. Now that you have the machine comfortably set up, we can start the movement. Drive through your heels to lift your hips up, lower the hips back down slowly, with control maintaining tension in your glutes and hamstrings. After completing your set, push your hips up slightly to reposition the stopper lever, and then lower the weight back down to lock it safely into place. Next up, we have the kickback machine. To set this machine up, first you're going to want to add your weights to the loading pin, then enter the machine and rest your chest comfortably on the chest pad. Grip the handlebars and place the working leg back onto the foot platform. Push back without overextending your leg, and then bring your leg back in slowly, returning to the starting position. This is similar to a cable glue kickback. Instead, this is being done on a machine designed to mimic the same movement. Next up, we have the incline squat machine. To set this machine up correctly, enter the machine and stand on the foot platform with your back against the backrest. Place your feet shoulder width apart in the middle of the platform. Push up slightly to take the weight off the safety stops, then release the lever to allow free movement. Lower your body by bending at the hips and knees, keeping your back pressed against the backrest. Continue descending until your thighs are parallel to the foot platform or slightly lower, ensuring your knees form a 90-degree angle. Drive through your heel to push the weight back up to the starting position, fully extending your hips and knees without locking them. Alright guys, that's it for today's video of trying every lower body machine in the gym. If you found this video useful, be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on my fitness journey as I discover more tips. If you're interested in developing your glutes like I am, you can check out my glutes and hamstrings workout linked right here, and be sure to stay tuned for my next video. Alright, see you next time.